Welcome to Influence Matters, the show for purpose driven leaders who are ready to turn their expertise into influence and their story into impact. I'm your host, Clara Rose. I'm a literary consultant, publishing strategist, and creator of the spoken book method. So let's jump into our conversation with our guest today. Let me tell you about my guest. Her name is Patty. She lives in Liberty Lake, Washington, with her husband, Gary, and together they planted Legacy Church. So if you're in that area, you may be familiar with that church. And their greatest joy is, of course, spending time with their 4 married children and their 7 grandbabies. Patty is a speaker, author, and pastor of spiritual formation, and she shares messages of hope and healing with audiences around the world, actually, carrying a special passion for those who know the deep ache of suffering. Please help me welcome my author and friend, Patty Moreno. Welcome, Patty.
Thank you, Clara. It's good to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here to talk about your book. But first, tell, I read your bio, but tell the world what you do. What do you do in this
Yeah,
world?
well, I try to follow Jesus and respond to his heart is the bottom line of what I do. But that has led me, my husband and I planted a church here in the inland Northwest 8 years ago. And I just have this deep desire that I want God's kingdom to come, his will to be done. So until this world looks like heaven, there's a work for us to do. And I've just tried to steward my story and take the bread and the loaves of my own journey and watch God multiply it for his purposes. So there's real power in our stories.
For sure. There absolutely is. And your story is like incredibly, incredibly powerful. I
Mm,
want to talk about your new book. I'm so excited. It's finally out. It's actually been out for over a month now. So, your book, The Place, so beautiful, Discovering God Where Life Hurts Most. And this is absolutely your story, your healing, your recovery from incredible,
yeah,
incredible, deep pain and hurt, which of course fuels your passion for helping those who have
yeah,
such deep hurts. Um, let's talk about why you wrote this book.
yeah.
Start
Oh,
there.
yeah. This book has been over 2 decades in the making, actually. And um, I was a barren woman, and my husband and I uh, really had wrestled with the reality that we probably would never have children of our own. But God miraculously allowed me to have a daughter, Carissa Nicole. And at 7 months old, we experienced a tragedy, and she passed away. And so I felt like throughout my pregnancy and even those 7 months with her that uh, God was going to use her life in profound ways, that she wasn't just a gift to my life, but um, that God had a genuine purpose, which I believe he has for all of our lives. And so for me, after she passed away, the only way I could uh, reconcile a good God and the purposes that I really believed he had for her life was through a miraculous resurrection from the dead. And I believed it with all my heart. That didn't happen. And so my journey began with trusting God when I had so relied on promises like, if you make the Lord most high your dwelling place,
Mhm.
no harm will befall your tent. All these, ask anything in
Right.
my name, I will do it. But that didn't happen. And so I had a journey of not just trusting God's word, but um, willing to trust his heart when I couldn't see his hand at work in my
Mhm.
journey. And so kind, so faithful. And he met me in the darkest moments of my journey. And so I had the joy of not only knowing God through his word, but really experiencing him. And it began to just really provoke this desire in me to be a companion to those who are walking with a lot of disillusionment and suffering. I think suffering can really do that in our life and
Sure.
help us see God in the midst of it and to know Him. And sometimes comfort has a way, honestly, of dulling our even desire for Him, but there's nothing like
Mm,
pain. Pain can
mm,
do one of two. It can really drive us from Him, or make us really lean in and put our head on His chest and just know His heart. And I chose that latter path, and I'm so
mm,
glad I did. And it's been my joy to walk with people who are suffering for the past couple of decades. So,
mm. While you wrote
yeah.
your book,
And I wrote
right?
my book.
Uh,
Yes.
while
Yes.
you wrote your book. So talk about the place, right? In the book, the place is significant, right? So what does
Yes.
that title mean?
Yeah.
The place.
It's not it's the organizational metaphor for the whole book. And what I mean by that is whenever we're writing a book, you have to organize it around some thought that will help you find your way through the writing forest.
Sure.
And I grappled with a lot of different ways that I could capture the nuances of God's character. And as I was reading in the Psalms, and even throughout the Word, I began to recognize the Hebrew people had a name for God that was so dear to them. You are my refuge, my place of
Mm,
safety. The Lord has been my dwelling place for all generations. From everlasting to everlasting, you're God. You are my hiding place in times of trouble.
mm,
So they started jumping off the page into my spirit. And I was like,
mhm,
wait, God, you call yourself the place that we can run to. And
mhm,
and so I organized the entire book around that thought. So I have he's the place of presence in our darkness. He's the place of peace for our anxiety, the place of provision for all of our lack. And I just continue on through perspective for
mm,
all of our perplexity. He gives promise for all of our doubt, and He's power
mm,
for all of our weakness. And ultimately, He brings purpose out of all of our pain.
mm,
So
mm,
that is that He is the place that we can run to for everything that we have need of in life. Yeah, it was a
mm,
joy
mm.
writing it, and as soon as
So
I
good.
narrowed in on that, it's like the whole thing began to just flow. It was such a joy. And Claire, it was
Yeah.
such a joy writing with you. At times that I
Well,
lost my
the
you were
your
there.
writing is so beautiful and so descriptive. I mean, you're
Oh,
just a naturally wonderful writer. It was truly my honor to be a part of this project, and I wept so many times, right? And I
mhm,
sometimes I do when I'm editing, right? Because I'm so impacted by the words, and then, of
mhm,
course, the story is one of pain, right? There's the pain and the
right.
suffering that so as I am reading it, eh, I'm and trying to edit it, I'm, like, weeping and editing, right? And I even at the very end when it was pulled together and I always hand it to my husband because he's just got a great eye, to, like, read through, and he did not get very far and went, "Oh, I can't do this." Right? He
Mhm,
had to
mhm,
set it aside, he couldn't read it, he says, I can't read that one," because he and his ex-wife had, they lost a child who was just a few hours old, and so
mhm,
50 years later, right? It's been a really long time, but it was still that pain is so deep and so raw and so
yeah,
real that he was like, "Oh, nope, I can't read this," right?
yeah,
For somebody who's
mhm,
been there, but I'm telling you,
yeah,
if you will take the time to read through, you have to get past, section 1, which we made the decision to make sections out of the book because things
mhm,
sectioned off so beautifully, right? And so then you could
yeah,
call each section, section 1 was the place of the shattering. So if you could get past the shattering, which is like the really painfully hard part to read,
yeah,
to the place of presence, right? And then the place of peace, then it's just about healing and restoration. So my hope is that the people who get their hands on this book who have that
yeah,
shattering will
yeah,
make it past that first painful part, right, and
yeah,
realize This is a journey that will lead them to healing and lead them to
Yeah.
restoration at the end. I love what Mark Batterson said on the cover of your book, real, raw, and redemptive, because it
Mm,
is that's so true. It's
yeah.
redemptive.
Oh,
I haven't
amen.
had that kind of loss and suffering in my life, but it's still impacted me. So everyone who's had their hands on the book, the beta readers, right? The beta readers were amazing at the very
They
end,
were.
right? They brought such value. I know those are
Yes.
people who love you and care for you, and I'm so grateful for the value that they
Yeah.
brought. But even
Yeah.
they were impacted by it. So what a
Mhm.
journey
Can I,
this
yeah, can I
was.
say, yeah, can I say
Yeah.
something to that? It's been amazing since the book came out that, and I knew this when I was writing it. I didn't write it just for those who have lost a child, though that
Mhm.
is, I think it really connects to those, but anyone who's walked through suffering. And it's been so beautiful to see, where people are able to get out of my story and into their own story
Mm.
and find God, begin to see God in new ways in their own story. And that was really the goal. It's not to just, oh, here's the sharing of my story, but what does that look like for you in your story? And I really positioned myself in this book not as a teacher of here's how this is what it's going to look like. It's definitely not prescriptive. It's descriptive of how I've seen God, and it might look different in each of our stories, but He is there. He will never leave us. He'll never forsake us. So he's so intimately involved in each of our stories, and I've been so overwhelmed by the goodness of God in the testimonies that I'm hearing of individuals, male and female, who are reading this and finding God in their own story. So that is all glory to God. And
Mhm.
it's what brings me such joy. It's the reason I stayed behind this writing desk, and I think I prayed it into being more than I wrote it. I just was like, Mark Batterson had told me once. He goes, "I just sit at the computer and ask God to rearrange the 26 letters of the alphabet in a way that will help me help them." And I was like, that was my prayer every day. God,
It's
just
like, all right,
arrange
Lord.
the words. Yes, arrange the words. It's so
Uh,
good. Yeah,
it's such a
yeah,
labor of love. And of course you had to like relive. Thankfully, it's been a number of years, and so, but there's still pain in that, right? As you're rehashing and reliving and remembering and all those things. Um, but it's a labor of love to sit down and tell your story in such a way that it is descriptive and healing for others and not
yeah.
just
Mhm.
um, somebody bleeding all over the pages, right?
Right.
Because I do see that in a lot of faith-based work out there where people they want to share they're compelled to share their story, called to write their story, right?
Yeah.
They're just like
Mhm.
bleed all over the pages and there's no purpose behind it, right? And so
Mm.
that's where the place really does stand out, is that it's purpose driven, right? There's a reason that you did it, and it isn't just to tell your story, right? It isn't prescriptive, and I love that about it, and it's changing lives, right? And I knew when we first met and we started talking, like, this God is going to do amazing things with this book, right? And He is doing amazing things, and I'm just, whew, I'm just so
Thank
honored
you.
to be a
Yeah,
part of this
thank you.
journey.
Oh, it's
Amazing.
been great. And I really do believe there is so much power in our stories, and there's a lot of people that I've talked with. They're like, I feel like I'm supposed to do something with my story, and I, if anyone's listening to this, that you're like, you just keep feeling this gnawing desire, I would say, what's the one thing you can do to stay actively involved in that dream? Because
Mhm.
even if it's only for your children or grandchildren, can you imagine having a book that was written
Mm,
by your grandparent of the things they wrestled through in life? And
mhm,
that would be priceless to me. And so I think so
mhm,
many of us discount ourselves and discount the power
mhm.
or the effect that our story can have on others. But, scripture says we're saved by the blood of the Lamb, the word of our testimony,
Mm,
and there's power in our
mm,
testimony, and
mm.
how we encountered
Good.
God. Because he's not just the God who did great things, he does great things today in our lives.
Mm,
And those
so
need
good.
to be shared, even though we don't always know how. Like, God, I want to
Right?
just tell how good you've been, but I don't even know how to describe it.
I don't even know how to start.
And took me
But you
20
sit
years
down
trying to describe it. Yes.
yeah, but
Yeah.
you did. You fleshed it all out, and
Yeah.
then thankfully somebody connected the 2 of us, right?
Oh,
Lindsay actually connected the 2 of us. So many people never get that connection, right? When I was at
no.
a networking event and I met Lindsay and she's like, "My pastor's wife needs you," right? And so that's you need someone in your life to say, "I know who can help you get this story from where you're
Yeah.
at, whether you haven't even written a single word yet and it's still all like tucked up in your head, or like you who have, all of these chapters written." We did a lot of cutting, right? But you had
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
fully fleshed out and done
Yeah.
hours and hours, years of work fleshing it
Yeah.
out to that point,
Mhm.
but then you still need someone to help you get it across the finish line, right? So it's just finding that
Oh,
person that's a good fit for you.
yeah. Because they can be the best book never read. Just
Mm,
stay live in our
yeah,
computer. It's really safe in our
right.
computer because no one can like it or
Mm,
dislike it. But
yep,
yeah, I was so grateful. It was a
that's
divine appointment that you and I got to
sure.
our paths came together, and it was just what I needed. And
Mm,
yeah, I know 100%, and I'm not just saying this for your benefit, Clara. I know
mhm,
100% it would still be in my computer today if
mm.
it wasn't for you. I'm so
Well, because
profoundly grateful.
you don't know what you don't know, right? That's the
No,
thing, and
it's
that's with
true.
anything that we do, right? You're
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
you're not gonna go out and run a marathon or, do anything of significance that you don't know how to do
Yeah.
without
Mhm.
finding someone to help you do that, right? It just
Mhm.
doesn't work that way. That's why you find somebody,
Yeah,
right?
it's
To
true.
take that next step. So,
Yeah.
do you have, next steps that's happening with the book? Any cool thing happening?
I
Share, share.
Yes. Well, it's so incredible because, we have a connection. He's a radio broadcaster, um, and he read the book and said, "This needs to be an audiobook." And so he's gonna fly out and help me get it into audio version. Um, Clara, you and I just started conversation about getting it into an ebook.
Mm,
And then my real goal, whatever platform the book is in, I've really desired to get it. This is a big dream. I'm kind of afraid to say it because this is going to go public and I'm going to be accountable to it. But I really want to see it in every hospital through chaplains, giving it to anyone who's living through just a broken story and they have a shattered heart, just to receive it as a gift. So I want to partner with churches around the country and
mm,
that they would adopt a hospital and care for the wounded in their city, and that God could just begin a redemptive work that's way beyond me. So that is my deepest desire,
I love
is
that.
to see hearts
I
healed. Yeah,
love that.
really excited. So that's in the making. I'm starting small
Yay.
in this area. I thought, it'd be good
Mhm.
to pilot
Start at
this.
home.
So
Mhm.
we're starting here in this region and just seeing what God's going to do with it.
Mm, I love that.
Yeah,
So, any
been good, and
pastors
it's
out there that are
really,
watching this, right? That
yes.
what a beautiful
Oh,
untapped ministry, right? There's such a need for that kind
there
of a
is,
ministry.
you know,
I don't know that
that
there is much of that out there, right?
I'm
So
sure
who
there's
helps those
some,
people?
but yeah, I know when we were led into a private room at the hospital and the announcement was made.
Mm,
Yeah, my heart just goes up to those individuals
mm,
because it's I just wanted to talk to somebody that lived through it
Mm. Mhm.
because you don't feel like there's enough oxygen for next breath.
Right.
So,
Right.
I just keep asking the Lord to keep my heart tender and,
Mm.
to keep the motivators of my heart pure and to just partner with Him and let Him lead. I just want a responsive heart.
Mhm.
He's given me a healed heart, so I want to respond to Him and step courageously into, God, why did you lay this? What's your plan with the book? And so I think
Right.
there's plans I haven't, he's not even yet disclosed. I think he's
Mm.
wanting to see if I'll be faithful with the things he has put in my heart to
Mm.
do. And
Mhm.
we'll see what's from that, you know?
What's
So
next?
he doesn't
Yeah.
give me more if I just, they're just a bunch of
Right.
ideas. So,
Right.
yeah,
Right. But you're not just you don't just put your book out to the world and go, "Okay, there, Lord, I did what you asked me to do." You're like pursuing that next step. And so I
now
can
the
see
work's
really
beginning.
amazing. Yeah, now the work really begins, right? You thought the other was
Yeah,
work, right? Right? And there was some, tears and last minute hysteria,
yeah,
right? Be honest,
yeah, sure
on our
was.
part, right?
Let's let's keep it
Like,
real.
"Ah,
Yes.
let's be real about it." But in the end, right, once it's out, now the real work does begin. And
Yeah.
just because it popped into my head, I need to introduce you to another client of mine, Dr. Kim, who has her book is Embracing the Spirit in the Winter of Loss, and it's for widows. So it's,
Oh,
so, a
wow.
brand new widow,
Wow.
and it's beautiful, beautifully fully illustrated, full colors. It's absolutely beautiful. It's just now out, but she has a similar heart as you to
Mm.
get it out into the churches for the hurting. Um, I never
Yep.
even thought of it, but getting it into the hospital where somebody is in that place. I mean, I never thought about that moment until your story, that there's that room, right? There's a room where they take you to give you this bad news, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a space there. The two of you should at least have a conversation. You and Dr. Kim,
We should.
maybe collaborate in
Yes.
some way. 'Cause you're both
There's a
amazing,
oh,
lovely, godly women, and so I know you'd love each other as
mm,
much as I love both of you. So don't let me forget to introduce you guys for sure.
okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So we are just wrapping up on the downward side of things. Tell everyone where to go
Okay.
get your book because that's important.
Yeah. The book is available through Amazon. Um, Patty Moreno and the place. So Patty with a Y. And if you go to my website, pattymoreno.org, it gives you the option of, it'll link you right directly to the book on Amazon or to my Shopify store. And then you can get a signed copy and I mail those out. So,
Okay,
and
that's
just pray
what you
over what
want
God
right
wants me to
there. That's what you
write.
want. I will forever treasure mine because it has a beautiful inscription in the front from you, which is precious to me. So I will forever cherish that. So absolutely, get your hands on a autographed copy before she becomes so famous that that you can't get your hands on one. Right?
Yeah. And I will say this, I love, I've spoken at women's conferences and retreats, all over the nation and in Europe and Africa, and um, I have a heart to, help us remain steadfast and unshakable as people of God and learning that unappreciated posture of the believer simply to stand. And so if there's ever an event that you're looking for a speaker for, I would
Absolutely.
definitely prayerfully consider that. That is a passion of mine to just
That's great.
declare the gospel and to help us be strong and stand in the
I
midst
love that.
of this cultural moment. So yeah,
Right. Whatever's going on.
let me know how
Now,
I can help.
if they're interested in that, is your website a good place to go and find information
It
about
is.
that?
Yep, there's a
Okay.
contact
Okay.
page. It literally, we're still working on that one, but you can just, it links you to my email, and so you
Okay.
can, I
Perfect.
check daily. Yeah, yeah.
perfect. So if someone's like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect speaker for my next women's conference or whatever, you could come and bring your books and people could get an autographed
Yeah,
copy if they want or whatever that looks
absolutely.
like. So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
friend, it was an amazing journey. I'm so incredibly grateful to walk
yeah.
that with you.
Oh,
I cannot wait to see what God does next. It's been such an exciting, I talk about it all the time. I know I'm always talking about this book. And people ask me, what's your favorite book? And it's usually like the one that I'm currently working on, because I'm so invested in them. But my heart keeps going
yeah.
back to, your book
Oh,
because of the power of it, right? It's the power of your testimony. I love that you
mhm,
said that power of our testimony and the power of your testimony
yeah,
and what God can do. You know what I love
yeah.
most? Not that God didn't raise Krissa from the dead, right? I love that you believed it with all of your soul,
Mm, mm,
right? Up until the last
yeah,
moment, right? And
yeah.
you were like, Lord, what the heck, right? Why didn't
Right.
you, right? You just
You're
expected
able. You're
your
able.
father, right? You're able, you expected it, and then you
Yeah,
weathered the disappointment of him saying no, because sometimes God
yeah,
does, right? Doesn't give
yeah.
us our own way, right? Because he has a good plan for us. And
He
none
does.
of this would be
Mhm.
possible without that moment
No,
of pain in your shattering in your life. So thank you
it's
for
trusting that
walking
he's
in obedience.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And he gave me 4 kids after that. That's
Oh, yes.
spoiler alert.
Yes, I
Spoiler
forgot
alert.
to mention that, yes. And now you have
He healed my
grandbabies as
marriage.
well.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's such a better storyteller. We
Mm,
want our story to look one way but
mm,
God writes a beautiful story. He
mm.
is so faithful and so learning to trust him was really
That's
powerful
it,
for
the
me. Yeah.
journey. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, my friend, for taking time out of your, I know, crazy busy life and schedule,
My
helping to pastor a church to be here with us today. I so appreciate you, my friend, and I look forward to seeing what God does
Thank you. Thank you
for
for the
sure.
honor of being on your show today. Okay. God bless you.
Absolutely. All right. You as well, my friend. All right, you guys. As always, love having my amazing guests here. Patty is near and dear to my heart. Her book is near and dear to my heart. But I just want to give you an opportunity, of course, um, and thank you for joining me on Influence Matters today. As always, please do not forget to like, share, subscribe to our show for more amazing guest interviews, amazing authors that I bring to you. Um, it- and I just want to say, if you have a book idea that you're carrying, it won't leave you alone, but if you're finally ready to get it written, I would love to be a part of your journey. Faith-based, purpose-driven authors, you are my people. I'm your girl. Whether you want to write every single word for yourself or you want to speak it into existence in just 4 to 6 months without writing a single word, there is a path for you. So you can book a free 30-minute strategy session by going to craftingyourmessage.com. Or if you're just in the beginning stages, you can actually hop over to the savvyauthors.com. We have a brand new free Savvy Author faith based community for people like you who are trying to write your book. And I will give lots of great free stuff and free advice over there. And you can connect with me, and I'm happy to help you there as well. So, all right, until next time, keep on crafting your message for the world.